This is a king shit worldwide production. Welcome to my first unboxing video, maybe my only unboxing video. The quality of the audio may not be up to par because I'm not using my interface to the phone that I record from. So this is more quick first impressions of a brand new guitar that I picked up. Little backstory real quick. I had bought a Fender floorboard that had a problem with the expression pedal, returned it through Reverb, which by the way was a very easy return system, and big ups to Reverb. And so I had a little money back from that, and I also had a little money from the they've started legal gambling in Massachusetts on sports, and my son got free gambling and I get free gambling on it for new users and stuff. So I managed to get him extra couple $100, and I won a little money on Formula One. So that was kind of fun. So I combined a little of that money. I'd been looking at a guitar from this particular site and manufacturer for a while. They used to have this guitar in a beautiful gold flake finish. I'd been on their waiting list. I got this little windfall and said, let me go and see if it's there, because I thought maybe I got overlooked. They're a small company, not Gibson's, not Fender type level company, but I'd had good success with some of their products in the past, and I decided. So I go there, and not only did they not have in stock, they finally took it off, the gold flake off completely as not an option. But I noticed they were having a 20% off everything, including clearance sale. Now this is on the GFS site or guitarfetish.com. And I've had pickups and, yep, full guitars from them, at least an acoustic. And other people I know that I deal with also have. And I've had only good experiences that I can recall. And so they didn't have the gold flake finish, but the Strat style guitar they had. The next nicest one they had, and was on their B stock clearance, was this beautiful orange capri color, which I love. I'd had a Strat of this color before, but a much lower end one than this one could be. We shall see. But so, and it had just a couple of small finish issues, and normally their everyday price was a pretty good $209 plus shipping. It was down to $189 or $179, I forget, and plus shipping, and then the 20% discount. So when you add in the shipping and insurance, you have to get, it was $189, I think, total, everything included, shipped UPS ground, and it came this morning, and I've been chomping at the bit ever since, and my first unboxing begins. Now, from at least one other unboxing of a Xaviere Strat style guitar I watched, they packed well. Looks like definitely here too, as I see a fair amount of bubble wrap, as well as the actual box itself with the guitar in it, and more wrap at the bottom. All good signs. And now we have the basic box with the Xaviere logo, and we'll see what lurks inside. I would like to think, from the other times I've seen these videos of other people doing these, there should be a bag in here with the trim bar, and usually they give you the truss rod, Allen wrench, and any other the Allen wrench for the bridge saddles usually. And I can already see the orange popping through. I like that sign very much. Here's the bill of sale, and see. Okay, right underneath the headstock in the little pocket there, you have exactly what I expected. Looks like 2 Allen wrenches and the whammy bar, tremolo arm. Okay, and here's the bag that covers it to protect the finish a little bit. Good also for mosquitoes. The springtime is coming, and wow, so far that is a really nice. To me, they call it capri. It's almost like an orange sickle type finish, I would say. And the camera, as I'm looking at it, it looks more like it looked in the web photos, the capri orange that it's called, and that's pretty darn nice. And they claim the issues that it had was a little tiny neck pocket gap, and well, you'd have to be pretty picky to even notice that if they hadn't brought that to your attention. And it's there, and I remember seeing it in the picture. But yeah, really, you can see everything lines up beautiful. The pickup pole pieces and the strings line up nice. Now, a little about the parts and the electronics, from what I know, is that it's full size pots, 250Ks. It's a good pretty good 5-way switch at least. 3-ply pick guard, white, white. And they're Alnico staggers, GFS's own pickups. They're supposed to be the quick connect, so they're easily changeable too with other quick connect style pickups. One of the guys saw his input jack wasn't screwed in, it just came right out. I didn't have that issue, so far I'm ahead of that. It does not feel loose in there at all. No twisting necessary or anything. It does not look like there's any float on this, but it's probably not to pitch tuned, but it doesn't feel that loose either. It might be close to pitch, if not in pitch. There's the sealed 14:1 tuners, I believe, is the ratio. It's I believe a 12-inch radius neck usually on these, and at first glance, I would say the look and feel, if you didn't say on the headstock and you said who's the make and what level of guitar, I would have said at least the made in Mexico level guitar for sub 200, even with the tiniest little quality issue, if you want to even call it that, so far anyway. And let's see if the whammy bar is correct and fits nicely. If it's a true USA Space one, I will be putting a little spring in it. Wait a minute, I think there could even be a spring in here. You know that? For the tremolo tension. There's the small saddle size wrench. And there is the bigger size Allen wrench. Its own little enclosed pocket, which the other one was in there too and managed to slide out. I don't know. I thought I saw a little black one. No problem. I have them in stock because you got to buy like a dozen at a time, because you know most of us Strat guys own a dozen Strats, right? My wife would argue, yeah, you probably do. Not at the moment. I can tell you that part's true. All right, let's get the whammy bar arm in there. Be careful and get it in there right. Make sure it's the right arm and they haven't accidentally given you the wrong one. The first couple of threads matters a lot. There we go. And there we go. Going in beautifully. All right. Tension right there looks good. These are supposedly steel saddles, bent steel saddles. I believe it's also a steel base plate and a large full-size base plate that's American Fender standard size, from what I gather. According to the website, I do believe. I'm not going to take the back plate off at the moment. I'm just going to review it for the moment as is. I'm pretty sure if I open the back here, they're going to have the springs going up to the middle 2 of the 5 clips instead of the outside ones like I always have it set. And there's a lot of dispute on that. In my opinion, any Strat or any guitar that has a spring type tremolo system, I don't care if it's Floyd Rose or Strat, it has to be, if there's three, and there should be most of the time, outside two and dead up the middle. It's to keep constant tension across the neck. That makes sense to me. Everyone has their own way, and that's okay. Now, before I plug it in, let's see if it sounds like it's close to pitch, or it looks like it was tuned. I mean, it's not in tune, but plastic is still on the pick guard. I'm going to leave that for the moment. The string trees look like, like Squire level, nothing special, but we'll see if there's tension on the tuners when we adjust them. They do have side tension knobs, so that's a big bonus in my opinion. We'll see if a little float comes up on this or not, and whether or not that's something I'll be fixing, because I have to have float on the tremolo for myself. What I'm going to do, we're going to tune up to pitch with my little Korg tuner. These little handheld Korg tuners are the best thing. Maybe the best investment a musician or guitar player or bass player could ever make, I think. I've had them for 30 years, maybe. Starting with this first little gray one I had, which is still sitting there on my amp. They're indestructible, accurate. Yay, Korg, thank you. This is the most recent one, and I didn't even really need one. But it has a lot of really good options. It's chromatic and has every kind of viewing option that you can have. It's pretty killer. All right, so this is on the amplifier side, like it's supposed to be. On the guitar side, for now, volumes are up. Let's put the power on. On the tuner, and let's bring it up to pitch, very low. To me, that's a good sign. To me, that shows they detuned it, which is what I've always read is the best thing to ship. You don't have to take all the tension off, but detune it a lot. Not even any string stretching. Tells me they probably did a pretty good job stringing this up at the factory. I'm gonna go with that for the moment. And maybe a little fine tuning by ear, but let me put this down for a second. And I'm gonna use a little help from my wireless here. Go to the pedal. Use this guitar one as an output on the other wireless. And into the amp. Make sure I'm not backwards on anything here. From guitar. Output. Guitar. Input. That doesn't look like it's in there tight. That could be a whole problem right there. Yes. That's in, that's in. Maybe a little volume on the amp. There we go. That's the gist of that. Okay. A little bit more master. Okay. Very, very bright on the bridge, as you'd expect. Let's see if we get a little quack on this too. Definitely have that quack, that Clapton, Knopfler, or Robert Cray kind of quack in there. Now let's go into the middle. A little beefier, pretty cool. Let's go for the number 4 quack. Let's go to the neck. Well, it's definitely, the trim needs to float, in my opinion. It works a little, it's stiff, it's very stiff like this, I'll say that. Compared to, for example, my 91 Fender Prodigy over there, even though it has a small block, it's got a nice juicy, it's floating of course. This one as well, the Squire has a replacement Fender vintage style trim with a full block, and I got that floating as well, and that's very nicely balanced. It's very nice action. With this one, it's really stressed, but that's easily fixable, and I will. Now, just for that quick fast tune up and playing around, it's staying in tune acceptably, I'd say. I mean, if I put it through the electric tuner, it's probably not perfect on the nose, but sounds like the intonation is pretty good. Up and down the neck respectably. Liking that. Number 2 is pretty good too. Okay, now we're going to mess around with some dirty tones on it. It's got a good vintage clean tone that you'd exactly expect from these kind of Alnico 5 type pickups. Just what I expected. I'm not positive I'll stay with those. That wasn't really what I was going to go with long term on this, but we don't know yet. Everything else feels like a winner. The neck feels nice. Tuning and intonation seems good so far. They feel very smooth when I brought them up to pitch. String trees are string trees, nothing. Nut seems cut well, and these nuts are Graph Tech nuts that are supposedly hand cut at the factory, and nothing to complain about there so far. So nice finish, good smooth playing neck so far. No dead notes, but I haven't played every single note. Whammy bar will need some adjusting. Work on the tension, get it to float, and that should make a big difference to me at least. Lot to like. Let's do some dirt. I'm going to put on, now I'm using my Marshall mini stack. I have 80s cabinets, which have the all real wood ply cabinets, birch plies, and the Celestion 25-watt speakers. Those are the ones to have if you're out there guitar players. And the head is a later one, I believe 90s. It's the lead 15, not the lead 12 that most people that have these, if they're lucky enough to have one, have. Or they have one of the MG-ish ones that came even later. Not a fan. This one has reverb, a real tiny spring reverb in there. You gotta have it all the way up to get anything out of it. But you can hear it. Yeah, a little bit of trail. It's pretty darn nice. Even for just living room playing. Now, if I were to turn up the gain enough to make it sound good, I have to roll the lead back, the master volume back, and I don't really care for that tone as much. I think it's better when you're using a dirt pedal in front of it like this. And that's my yellow drive on the red side, the dirt side, which to me sounds like a rat pedal. And the green side, or yellow side maybe it is, the overdrive side to me is the tube screamer side. I generally only use the red side. Dirty, fuzzy, it's pretty nice. Let's play in some neck and see what we think. Bridge now. Some terrible bend, sorry about that. Let's try some second position. Now this is the, as you can hear, no hum on that. This is the reverse wound with the middle for hum canceling. So it gives you the quack and the clean, and a little bit, I guess, in the dirt too, but mostly people consider that for that. But when you're in the 2 and 4, it's hum canceling, so it's not terribly noisy though. I don't know if it's shielded or not, but it wasn't terribly noisy, even in the See, even in the cleans, I should say, in the single coil modes, there's a pretty good neck tones. As I butcher Robin Trowel, that's actually pretty good for that, I'd say. I think the dirt tends to give it a little natural compression and takes a little bit of the high. That usually is one of the downfalls of the vintage Strat type of wiring, where there's no tone on the bridge, but you have tones for the middle, the single, and for when you're interconnecting them. I usually would rather have just one master and one volume, but there's nothing wrong with this. And this one, it's less noticeable to me, which that's a good thing. So you could fill in the dirt, let's say, if you go with just the bridge. It's nice and bright and twangy without being ear piercing. Very telly-like almost, does it? Always the G. Kind of a little telly-ish, I'd say. It's very nice. So I would say on first looks and sounds, worth every penny for sure. There's no skunk stripe, but I was once told that a maple neck probably should not have a skunk stripe in the back. That generally that is for rosewood fretboards. I don't know the validity of that, but I'm gonna take one quick look before we call this a day. The last thing I'm curious about is, let's see if this looks like it could be a one-piece neck, or if it's at least maybe a fretboard and a one-piece beneath that. The grain, it's tough to tell, and they've done such a good job of burying the fret ends into the. I'm gonna say it looks right about there, like that could be a fretboard line. So it appears to be one piece with a maple fretboard on top, which is great. It's fine, you know. Not a lot of flame in it, but it doesn't have to have a lot of flame in it. It looks and feels very good so far. I don't see anything terrible about it. Again, the tuners were smooth. They must have done a pretty good job. There's not too many wraps on them, on the tuning pegs, which to me is a good sign. It looks like they may have cut them a little short. I usually like to have a little sprout on them as opposed to cutting them right down, but I'll be putting on Super Slinkies very soon regardless. This guitar, I can't say enough about for the moment, as everything seems to really hit the nail on the head for a nice vintage Strat. If they had the gold flake, I would have paid the extra, because look for that other guy's Xaviere review as he compares it against other less expensive Strats that are available out there. But what a winner. I wouldn't just say put this up against an inexpensive, you could put this up against more expensive ones for sure. Towards, like I said, the mid-level of Fender, maybe even some of the made in Mexico's, would be hard pressed to have better quality parts and playability and everything else. So right out the box, very happy. We'll see down the road if everything holds up well on it. The tuners could be an issue, but they may not be. They feel good. If everything is the quality of, as far as the saddles being steel and the trem block and whatnot, I expect this is going to be one that's going to stay with me. So thank you everybody out on YouTube. Xaviere guitar, my new Strat. You'll be seeing me playing this one on one of my Sunday blues shows. I'm sure, absolutely sure of that. So take care.